I'm here at the rehearsal rooms of A Play a Pint a Pint at Sanders Street, and I'm with an old friend of A Play a Pint a Pint, Liam Brennan, the actor. Liam is the solo performer in our first play, The Secret Commonwealth. Welcome back, Liam.
Thanks, Liam.
I'd love to know what it was about this play, what it was that attracted you to do it, because doing a one-man show is quite a mountain, so it's quite a big decision to do it.
Yeah, it is, and it is. But I kind of fell in love with it the first time I read it. I didn't actually know anything about this chap, Robert Kirk. But I just think it's a fascinating idea that he was able to marry up these two belief systems of being a Christian minister and this completely deeply held belief in this other realm and sprites and fairies and all the rest of it. That just really fascinated me. I suppose we call him someone kind of beyond his time now. I mean, now that there's nothing kind of that unusual about people being involved in, I don't know what we call New Age stuff now or whatever, but for someone who died in 1692, I think, and was a minister, I just found that fascinating.
And it's interesting that in a way the play is a sort of metaphor about a modern world which has become faithless and not believing in, if you like, the fairies, but the spiritual world.
Yeah. It seems to, Catherine's writing really seems to touch on that idea of, what we have lost, or certainly what we've lost touch with in nature and the elements and the landscape and all that. Yeah.
You've done a number of Catherine's plays. Is there some quality in her writing that particularly attracts you?
I think that it's difficult to be really articulate about it, but yeah, I've done the very first play I ever did at the Traverse was by Catherine Wormwood, a play about Chernobyl, and then years later I did another one. There's always seems to me with Catherine an interest in the other. There's often a theme of, not ghosts necessarily, but things not being quite what they seem, there being always the possibility of a realm beyond the absolute mundane, prosaic, and for me there's something very Celtic about that in her thinking, which that kind of strikes a chord with me.
And her language it's not really naturalistic, is it?
It isn't.
It's almost poetic.
Yeah, and I think that's always interesting as well, because you have to honour that, and yet at the same time be a credible flesh and blood person who for some reason has this need to speak and share with this group of people who happen to be an audience. And so that's always a bit of a challenge, but again it's much more interesting than kind of bum scratching naturalism.
The last play that you did at Oranmore was a one-man play.
Glutton for punishment, maybe. Yeah, well, they're scary. They're very scary, but no, I enjoyed that one very much, and it went on to have another life, which is nice, and hopefully it will have a future life as well.
Yes, you've been asked to take it
to Tasmania next year. I think roughly this time next year.
And you took it to the Edinburgh Festival.
We did. We had played the Assembly Halls, and we also did a kind of Highland tour.
Yeah.
Although we took in some other, we played Dundee Rep for a couple of nights as well. So it would be a tiny hall one night and then a larger.
So one-man plays have been a success.
Yes, so far.
And actually this time you've got the moral support of having Deirdre singing Gaelic songs alongside you.
So I suppose technically it's not quite
there's somebody there on the stage to...
Yeah. It's a very, very interesting experience. I wouldn't like to do them too often, because to be honest, it is very stressful.
Yeah.
Unless by some miracle you maybe had 5 weeks or something to rehearse, but you do obviously worry.
It's a lot of words.
It's a lot of words, and to cram into your head in a very short space of time.
Yeah.
But I think it is a good discipline for something to touch now and again. Definitely, I think there's a lot to learn from just being direct with the audience when it is only yourself.
And of course at Oranmore you do have that very close proximity to the audience
Yes.
and
Yes.
the ability to speak directly to a member of the audience.
I think this time I'm going to be a little more involved in the body of the audience, whereas in the deep I was kind of slightly more safely always on the stage area, so that would be interesting.
A step nearer.
A step nearer, yes.
Well, we're really looking forward to opening and having the play running, and I would encourage you to come and see one of Scotland's best actors.